בשחור, מצפון ועד תימן, אין קרן אור. עוזרו על הצדיק, ולאיש לשמחה.
falls, and it does in time, if not with the time of the sun and the moon. It's very bright in here, it's very hot. I'm sure it is in many different places where you are as well. In the message that I sent out on behalf of all of the congregation every Friday, on this Friday I sent out a message to say the heat wave has gone, but it sort of officially has done. But I used it as a metaphor to say that at least in Israel, the heat wave, the weather which was oppressive, some of it at least has passed. But in Kyiv last night, most certainly in other cities around Ukraine, it certainly has not. Tonight, we think of our twin congregations in Lviv and Lutsk and everybody in Ukraine under fire, as well as everybody in need of shelter, We hope that this service will be one that provides that in our hearts, our minds, our souls, and also when needed, physically as well. We do invite somebody from our Teva congregation, our Lviv congregation, to light our Shabbat candles this evening. Yuri, who is in the UK here, his first Shabbat, and we welcome you to our congregation. And just before that, we're going to light candles for the hostages and all those in need of coming back home to their beds. So would you please rise? So John first. John. Kol ish leveto, every man to his home. Kol isha baita, every woman to her home. Kol yeled v'yalda lemitatam bevitcha, every girl and boy to their homes and to their beds in safety. Kan, here, sham, there, with a chol makom, in every place. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom. Please be seated. And there's the hope that righteousness may shine forth at some point in the future, and certainly that it will come in the form, we hope, of being able to go out into nature once more, to be able to celebrate with it. And so in the middle of page 8, Ya'alot Sadai, v'chol shebo, Ya'alot Sadai, ay, 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 Ya'alot Sadai, v'chol shebo, Ya'alot Sadai, ay, 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 az yiranenu kol hatzeya, az yiranenu kol hatzeya. Shabbat
b'nei Shabbat, מקבלה, לחדותי לקראת קלה, יללה, 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 ב'nei Shabbat, מקבלה.
Turn over the page for our psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. וזמר לשמך העליון, וזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm, grow tall like the cedar of Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Eternal One, they shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall ever be fresh and green, proclaiming that God is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Would you please rise? Please be seated. Please read with me. Come, let us bless the intelligence and order that fill all of nature, the laws by which evening twilight falls, the wisdom we perceive in the motions of the heavens, the understanding we can grasp of the way times vary and seasons change. Stars and planets will by nature in their courses in the sky. Night unfailingly follows day. Light fades into darkness, and darkness yields to light. Day passes and night falls, as our bodies and minds distinguish between day and night, while the hosts of heaven shine in splendor. We bless the glory of nature, which brings on the evening.
Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim. Ahavat olam, bein Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Va'ed.
Va'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi matzavacha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lechtecha v'derech, u'v'shochbacha uv'kumecha, u'kshaltam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'vish arecha.
Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Lama tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti etetem me'eretz Mitzrayim, li'od lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai, Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Please be seated. We read together, all this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, eternal one, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together.
Oh, mi kamoha, Ba'elim Adonai. Oh, mi kamoha, neta b'kodesh, nora tehilot, oseh feleh. Nora tehilot, oseh feleh. Adonai Eloh, leolam va'ed.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim.
Read together. Grant, eternal God, that we may lie down in peace. And let us rise up to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your wise counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from sickness and war, from famine and distress, and keep us from wrongdoing. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you are our guardian and deliverer, a gracious and merciful God. Guide our going out and our coming in, that now and always we may have life and peace. We praise you, O God. May your sheltering peace descend on us and all who dwell on earth.
Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו בהחווה, מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, את גיבורה לעולם שדי, מחיה מתים את רבה לחושייה, משיבה הרוח ומורידה הגשם, מזריחה השמש ומוריד הטל, מחלקלת חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומכת נופלים ורופאת חולים, ומתירה אסורים, ומקיימת אמונתה לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעלת גבורות, ומידו מהלך, גבורה מניתה ומחיה, ומצמיחה ישועה. ונאמן את לחיות מתים, ברוכה את שדי, מחיה המתים. קדוש אתה ונורא שמך, ואין לנו אלוה מבלעדיך. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Turn over the page and we read together. Our God and God of our ancestors,
May our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts. And may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, Eternal One, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amacha Yisrael, utfilatam ba'havat kabel, utchil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yira na'avod, modim anachnu lach, she'atah hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu, le'olam va'ed. Tzor chayenu magen ishenu, atah hu ledor vador, nodeh lecha u'nesaper techilatecha, al chayenu hamasurim biyadecha, va'al nishmotenu habakodot lach, va'al nisecha shebechol yom imanu, va'al niflotecha v'tovotecha, shebechol eit erev v'voker v'tzoharayim. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, v'lecha na'eh l'chodod. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Ki atah hu melech hador, l'kol hashalom. Ki atah hu melech hador, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai, Osei Hashalom. We pause for a few moments for quiet reflection.
one moment you are celebrating peace with good friends and doing the work of showing up and being with friends, different communities in Israel. And the next minute you're stuck. This was the experience of our member Robin Moss, and I have to say as well, one of the most incredible educators around Israel as well in this country. We're really delighted that, of course, that you got home safely, although as you're here, it was a little arduous, and that you're here tonight to address us as well. Robin. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much, Rob Aaron. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
This week's parashah is Hukat from the book of Bamidbar, Numbers. And the word Hukat comes from the Hebrew word hok, which is often translated as a statute. A hok, and plural hukim, is contrasted with a mishpat, plural mishpatim, usually translated as a law or a judgment. And you might recognize these words from part of our liturgy, which we actually sung tonight, Ahavat Olam. It begins, Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amacha Ahavta, endless is your love for your people Israel, your people, the house of Israel. And then it says, Torah umitzvot, Chukim umishpatim otanu limadata, which means you've taught us Torah and commandments, statutes and laws. And it's clear, I think, what the difference is in Torah and mitzvot. Torah is the kind of corpus of Jewish text and learning, and mitzvot are those commandments we're meant to follow as a matter of religious obligation. But what is the difference between chukim, statutes, and mishpatim, laws or judgments? So the rabbinic answer is that mishpatim are those mitzvot that are clearly understandable, that are logical, that have an obvious rationale, or they're specific examples of some general principle. So, for example, the injunction not to murder, or the prohibition idolatry, or certain forbidden sexual relations. They all seem perfectly understandable, almost rational to the human mind. Chukim, on the other hand, are those mitzvot that seem bizarre or arbitrary or without a clear rationale, or singular without reference to some broader principle. So, for example, many of the laws of kashrut, of keeping kosher, fall into this category, as does shatnez, the kind of strange principle of not mixing wool and linen in the same garment. Or, in this week's parasha, some of you will know the strange case of this thing called a red heifer, which is a pure, unblemished cow which you're meant to breed, slaughter, burn, and use the ashes for purification after you've been in contact with dead bodies. It's a bizarre, absurd, and even faintly ridiculous part of Jewish religious law, and it's a classic hok, a classic rule without rationality. And I mention all this as a rather long prelude to the reason I've been asked to give the sermon tonight. So 4 weeks ago today, I flew out to Israel for a holiday, to catch up with my friends, to hang out in my favorite haunts in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, spend a day going to do some research at the Ben Gurion Archive in the Negev. And all was smooth for the first week, until 3 a.m. on Friday the 13th of June, when I, along with everyone else in the country, was woken with a start as our phones let out a piercing scream of a sound. I was staying at the time with my close friends Ophir and Shai at their apartment in Herzliya, just north of Tel Aviv. What on earth was going on? As Ophir and Shai stumbled into the corridor between our 2 bedrooms, the piercing sound went off again, and we had an accompanying text message in Hebrew telling us to go to our bomb shelter if we were able. And so we did, and in a very War in 2025 way, we began scrolling social media, and we discovered that Israel had launched a major attack on Iran, and retaliation was expected imminently. From that moment, the holiday phase of my trip ended, and a new era began, being in Israel during war. It had moments of serious, rational structure, mishpatim, if you like, and other times that felt strange, weird, irrational, surreal, chukim, perhaps. At 3:30 a.m., we took the decision to relocate from Ophir and Shai's apartment to their parents' larger, more spacious, more rural house, which, crucially, had much better access to what's called a mamad, like a basement safe room or bomb shelter. Driving the 15 minutes to their house, having grabbed a change of clothes and some toiletries only, not knowing what was about to happen, whether bombs were about to fall out of the sky or a nuke had been launched, whether we'd even make it, was a kind of out-of-body experience. When we arrived, his parents, who I knew a bit, but I would hardly say we were the closest of friends, made it abundantly clear that I was welcome to stay for as long as I needed and that their home was mine. A good thing too, because within a few hours, Iran did retaliate. Israel closed its airspace, all flights out of the country were cancelled, and I found myself, along with about 40,000 other tourists, several thousand of whom were British, trapped in Israel. The next week was one I will not forget in a hurry. Ordinary life suddenly and abundantly came to a shuddering halt, and a new way of living began. In a similar way to the descent into lockdown in the COVID-19 pandemic, we all became incredibly familiar with the insides of our own homes and rather forgot about the outside world. Bear in mind that when the alerts and sirens went off, you had 90 seconds to get to a bomb shelter. So even a walk in the fields surrounding the house I was in felt like it carried significant risk. The IDF's Home Front Command, known in Hebrew as Pekud HaOref, had the branch of the army that's responsible for the kind of protection of civilian population, had an app that we all quickly downloaded, and it made clear, again in a very COVID way, that gatherings were forbidden, people should only go to work if it was necessary, and universities, schools, and daycare providers were to close. There were rules and regulations about everything, chukim and mishpatim. So in the house that I found myself in, there were 11 of us, 9 adults, including me, 1 toddler, and a baby. And we had no childcare, no ability to actually go anywhere, and a constant cycle of calm normality, punctuated by these mobile phone alerts, followed by air raid sirens when we take ourselves down to the shelter. These were mostly at night in the first few days of the war, but then daytime sirens began, and so there truly was never a moment to relax. The creeping sense of anxiety, of always being on edge, was, for me at least, a novel and thoroughly unpleasant feeling. The most sirens we had in any 24-hour period was, I think, 7. Every time we would dutifully go down to the shelter, lock ourselves in, and then, again, in a very war in 2025 way, scroll social media and turn on Channel 12 News to find out what was going on outside. This war was different to others that Israel has fought. Mostly, it's not the civilian population within the country who are most at threat. It's the Chayalim, Israel's soldiers. But in this war with Iran, miraculously, not a single Israeli soldier was harmed, but 29 civilians were killed and more than 3,200 injured. The images that I'm sure many of you saw of ballistic missiles shot down by Israel's remarkable interception capabilities, but a few getting through, landing in a huge explosion and causing absolute carnage, destroying apartment blocks, flattening entire roads or parts of neighborhoods, were all the more shocking as we watched them happen in real time from within our bomb shelter. It was an experience that will stay with me. I think trauma is probably an overused term, and I don't think I was traumatized as such by these alert, siren, shelter cycles, but I was certainly affected by them. Yet, it was not all tension and destruction and fear and anxiety. We ate at every meal and talked about everything. We ate together. We talked about sport and family and politics and business and history and holidays and so much else. Although sometimes the conversation was in English, everyone else in the house was a native Hebrew speaker, and my Ivrit comprehension certainly improved, being immersed in a very Israeli environment for a week. I came to understand the things that Israelis were particularly emotive about during the war, and things that I might have expected they'd have strong feelings on, but actually didn't seem to register. I got to know the presenters and analysts on Channel 12 News, watched by many mainstream Israelis, and came to understand their foibles. I laughed along with my Israeli hosts as each day their political correspondent, a guy called Amit Segal, would dutifully come on in a full shirt and tie, an island of slightly pompous formality in a sea of Israeli casual dress. Channel 12's go-to Iran expert, a guy called Benny Sabati, seemingly was broadcasting 24/7 for the whole week. It felt like he never slept, a bit like at election time in the UK, where you have Sir John Curtis, the Duracell bunny, who just seems to constantly be on, but he also looked completely exhausted. And about once a day, a kindly older gentleman in army uniform with his knitted kippah, Zvika, would come on. He was the spokesperson from Home Front Command, and he would come and very gently tell us the rules and regulations, the chukim and the mishpatim, that we were now being asked to follow. It slightly had the air of a military version of Professor Chris Whitty from the pandemic. When he was there, you knew it was serious, but also that you were in safe hands. And then, of course, there was the Lion King. Naomi, the toddler of the household, was absolutely obsessed with the Disney cartoon and wanted to watch it, or more accurately, the bits with the songs, at all hours of the day. And this included when we found ourselves in the bomb shelter. There's an absurdity to life sometimes, and I can tell you, if you ever find yourself in a bomb shelter with missiles raining down from the sky overhead, and you're being gently press-ganned into singing The Circle of Life once more, you too will feel that absurdity acutely. Day merged into day and night into night, and because of the sirens, there was never truly a good night's sleep. With flights looking like they'd be cancelled for a while, I began to look for other ways to leave. Eventually, along with 8 other Brits who were stuck in Israel, I undertook a 6-leg odyssey to get home. First the Jordanian border near Eilat, then across the border to the tiny airport in Aqaba, then a short and ridiculously expensive charter flight to Larnaca in Cyprus, then a regular scheduled flight to Gatwick, and finally back to my parents' place, courtesy of Dad's very early morning pickup. I woke up on Friday, the 20th of June, at 4:30 a.m. in the morning in central Israel, and went to sleep at 4 a.m. the next day in Pinner. In total, we've been traveling for 26 hours. So, what do I take from my time in Israel during war? Firstly, I admire and am inspired by the incredible resilience shown by Israelis during what was an extremely challenging time. They followed the Chukim and the Mishpatim, of course, but more than that, they developed a national spirit that just refuses to be broken. Secondly, I'm humbled and grateful beyond words to the wonderful Shai family who adopted me for the week. To Isha and Hila, whose house became mine, no questions asked. To Ophir and Shai, my dear friends, who I'd been staying with before it all started. To Shir, Rotem and their Lion King-loving daughter Naomi, and to Lior, Meital and baby Ronnie. I also make mention of Isha and Hila's youngest son, Yaron, who was killed on October 7th while serving as a soldier. He heroically defended one of the kibbutzim that was being overrun by Hamas terrorists. May his memory be for a blessing. Amen. And finally, I learned that sometimes there is beauty in the absurd, in the surreal, in the weird and the irrational. We all need mishpatim, structured regulations that keep us on the straight and narrow, but we also need hukim, things that are more mysterious, less knowable, borderline chaotic, and perhaps even at times unexplainable, to remind us that life is not always under our control. That is a lesson I think we can all learn in our uncertain and unstable age. I'm Yisrael Chai, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And if you can just stay there for one moment, and Ethan, if you wouldn't mind coming up here as well. There is a special blessing that one says when one comes home. Ethan has spent a month over the other side of the world with his sister, and now this is the first Shabbat back here in our community. And you've heard exactly Robin's journey. We thank you, Eternal God, that you have been with our friends on their journeys, enabled them to return safely. Help them to make good use of what they have experienced, enjoyed and achieved and experienced through their travels as they rededicate themselves to your service in secular society and in our sacred communities. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, gomer chasadim tovim. We praise you, Eternal God, Sovereign of the universe, for all your kindnesses. Thank you, Robin, so much indeed. Ethan, nice to have you back. Shabbat Shalom to everybody, and for all of those in our communities with us, joining us from Israel as well. We hope that this evening and this Shabbat is a quiet one for you. And going forward into the future, we very much hope that we will soon find a full, lasting peace within Israel and for all who are suffering in war at this time. We now rise as we come to our concluding prayers on page 27.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר שם חלקנו ליהן את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו. On this day, let us dedicate ourselves anew to the task that our ancestors tried in all their higher moments to fulfill, to bring nearer a time when all your children will understand that they are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and fellowship, they may be forever united before you. Then shall your sovereignty be established on earth, and the word of your prophet shall be fulfilled. Adonai, Melech Adonai, Malach Adonai, Imloch le'olam va'ed. On this Shabbat, we remember those who died in recent days, and those who died at this time of the year in years gone by. We remember Shelley Stokes, the mother of Amy and good friend of Deborah Boffey. Helen Azorio, whose hall we're going to be going into to make Kiddush. She left a legacy to the Ark Synagogue that allowed us to refurbish that hall. To Abraham David Gard, the father of Barbara Glynn and grandfather of Philip Austin, Sue Krasner and Judith Glynn. Valerie Manuel, the sister of Pamela Millard, Joe Neal and Douglas, and aunt of David and Simon Monk. Malcolm Smith, the husband of Vivian Plax. Jane Rayner, the mother of Jackie Newman. Gordon Conradi, the father of Richard. And Golda Bodak, the mother of Michelle Carson. Zecher Tzadikim Livracha. May all that was dear and good in their lives endure always as a blessing and as a continual influence for good. As we say together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mavarach le'olam u'lalmei amaya, Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'tada v'taleh v'talal shemei d'kudashah b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, v'amiran ba'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol b'nei Adam, v'imru Amen. May great peace descend from heaven, and abundant life be granted to us, to all Israel, to all peoples, and to all those who mourn. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. If you were reading carefully the weekly update, you will see that the synagogue has appointed a new rabbi. It doesn't mean that I'm leaving, but it does mean that we'll be welcoming Rabbi Andrea Kulikovsky as an assistant rabbi to this congregation. And if you wish to wish her Mazel Tov, just pre her ordination, which is on Sunday at Liabeck College, please do come tomorrow morning. We're celebrating the second bar mitzvah of Alan Wolf, and also we'll be asking God to bless Andrea pre-ordination at Finchley Reformed Synagogue on Sunday. There is a link through on the weekly if you'd like to experience the ordination as well online. But tomorrow morning, you get to wish her Mazel Tov in person. There's a couple of things to sign up for into the future. Our film club are meeting in a week's time, I think, and also our summer outing as well, which is just open to everybody. So if you wish to come along as a family, then please do bring people, but do sign up as speedily as you can. And we conclude our service before we go next door into the Azoreo Hall with an Israeli tune on page 30, written by one of the most important pop artists in Israel, Arik Einstein.
And most of the music tonight was from Israeli composers as well this evening. We're also still very much thinking of our congregations in Lviv. Mum and Dad are in Paris at this moment in time, together with Vanishkas, which is the band from Lviv, from our Teva congregation. They happen to be singing as part of a Choirs of Europe, a special event. And so Mum and Dad have gone to be with them there. And then Shire and I fly out on Wednesday as we go to visit our twin congregations in Lviv for Kabbalat Shabbat, and then in Shabbat for Lutsk. So we look forward to being with you, just as you have been with us this evening. And, well, sometimes we can feel insignificant. Sometimes it feels like everything is just going on around us, whether we're stuck in a ma'amad or whether we're stuck just in our lives as well, Andrew, we just feel a little bit small. But these words really do reassure us and encourage us to play our part in the world. You and I will change the world, then others will join us too. On page 30 in your booklets.
אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה אז יבואו בגולם. אמרו על זה קודם לפניי, זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה ננסה מההתחלה. יהיה לנו רע, אין דבר, זה לא נורא. אמרו על זה קודם לפניי, זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם.
Please rise. Adonai Oz le amo yitain. Eternal God, grant us strength to go out into the world and play our part in it. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. May we do our little bit to bring about just a bit more peace in the world. Shabbat shalom to you all. We're going to go next door to make Kiddush. If you wish to join us, then please do look at the bottom of your screens and sign into our Kiddush Zoom room right now. If you want any of the links for our activities, then just email clergy@arksynagogue.org. We hope that you found this a peaceful moment in time and as well inspirational. And we wish you a Shabbat Shalom.